In this Minecraft video, I'm going to survive 200 days in Minecraft. But here is the twist. Two of my friends are going to spend the entire time trying to hunt me down. If I survive the full 200 days, I win. If I die for any reason, they win. This video involves one of the most intense fights I've ever had in a Minecraft manhunt. Can I survive it and survive the full 200 days? Well, you have to watch and find out. But before we begin, I'd like to say there is still a massive 93% of people not subscribed. And I ask that if you go on to enjoy this video, please consider doing so. It's free and it does actually help me out a lot. Secondly, it's time for us to move on to Free Hunters. So if you want the 100 Day Survival Free Hunters edition, then get this video to 5k likes. Last but not least, YouTube comment shout out of the day goes to Soviet Parrot, who says, I love you, you give me comfort in a dark pandemic. The pandemic is a tough thing to deal with, so I'm really grateful that I can give you some comfort in that time, Soviet, and I hope you keep on enjoying the content that I keep creating. Right, let's finally get into this. First things first, let's do a quick recap. In the first 100 days, my two buddies, Austin and Chris, spent just under 100 days trying to hunt me down and kill me. This includes 6 fights, including one very cool trap kill. But by the end of it all, I made it to day 93 where they admitted defeat, determined to take me down in the next 100 days. By the end of it all, I had full enchanted diamond armor, full enchanted diamond tools, a full pack of dogs, and enough golden apples to make any PvPer jealous. If you want to see the first part, there is a little card on the top right now to go check that out as well. It will be in the description in case you missed it. Or if you want to go back and watch it again, it's up to you. That being said, we're going to pick things up on day 94. I spent the day sorting out the gear that Austin and Chris dropped in the final fight, pretty much throwing out what I didn't need and storing what I did. It took a bit longer than it should have, but we got there in the end. Day 95, I spent my time moving to a little base, just wanted to make sure I have a storage unit I can keep coming back to. It wasn't much, but it can be my somewhat home for the time being. Once that was done on day 96, it was time for me to do some classic mining. I wanted to get some levels, and I really need some basic ores as well, just for long-term usage as well. I pretty much spent all of that day and all of day 97 doing that. I was focusing on coal mainly for the simple reason that I never had coal in these 100 days videos. I don't know why, I just seemed to neglect it for some weird reason. But by the time, I think I had enough. What do you guys think? I went back to the mini base and was organizing my gear on day 98. After that, I started enchanting some books. The only worthwhile book that I got was an Infinity, level 30 enchantment, and it added directly straight onto my bow. On day 99, I went looking for a village. I wanted to find a librarian because the word on the street is he had a really cool book for me. And it might have taken a couple days, but on day 101, I found myself the village. However, the guy that I was looking for didn't really have what I wanted. No worries though, I know a little bit of villager manipulation should do the trick. On day 102, I got the trade I wanted, mending book. I don't really have the emeralds for now, but if I just hide him away, nothing can take him out and I can just come back to him whenever I need to. And then I started trading with some villagers with the coal and carrots that I had. It was by the end of day 104 that I was able to get my first mending book, and I made the really weird choice to put it onto my axe of all things. In retrospective, I definitely should have put it on a piece of armor, but I guess it's too late for that now. We'll get some more mending books in the future and put that on my armor. I then headed back into the caves with the goal to find some more coal for some more trading. And I also found myself a spider spawner, which amazingly had an enchanted golden apple in it. Now, I actually made a note of the spider spawner coordinates because I had a future plan that was very high risk, high reward, let's say. We'll get to that a little bit later. On day 106, I decided to head back to my base, but I made the really stupid choice of going to the wrong coordinates. I headed to the negative coordinate rather than the positive coordinate, and then had to spend my day running back. It was day 107 by the time I got back, and once I had everything sorted, it was time for me to pop back into the nether. I got my obsidian on day 108, but no flint and steel. Luckily, there's one in the chest right there, so I don't have to spend my time looking for gravel or anything, right? Here we are on day 109, grinding gravel. Yep. Day 110, I popped into the nether with a plan to get some more levels, and it was time for me to get some netherite armor as well. Sounds really simple, right? Well, I was looking around for the right spot to basically pick up some levels, and then suddenly, hey guys, how's it going? So here's the thing worth noting with these guys. They both had full diamond armor, which was really impressive considering it's only been about 20 days. But they were grinding levels, meaning they probably didn't have the best enchantments. Shall we find out? As always, Chris was my main target. And though I missed the first arrow on the second arrow, I'm not sure if I knocked him off or if he panicked, but he went straight into the lava. Taking out Chris now should be a hell of a lot easier, especially with a flame bow in the nether. I really wouldn't want to fight somebody with a flame bow in the nether. I should really consider that for the future as well. I feel like that could be a really big benefit for me. However, because I had that flame bow, Austin was not willing to take that fight. He wanted to run away. Though I was able to catch up to him, I was able to start shooting him, and there was so little damage he was doing to me. He was never going to win this fight, especially when he hit a pigman, which really made things just funny. He made this little tower, and I could have just left him to deal with his situation, or I could try and spleef him, which admittedly did fail. However, after one good shot, I was able to knock him down. The pigman probably did more damage than I ever did, but after one successful shot, Austin goes down as well. I was able to delay the hunters probably an extra 40 days because of that, and that just feels so good to know. Anyway, back to my never grinding. The next 30 days was pretty much grinding. Now, usually I just do a quick montage here just to show the things that I did. However, people want to see more of the stuff. People want longer videos, so I'm going to show you more individual stuff when I try and do these montages in the future. Cool? Cool. Let's begin. 112 is when I started the grinding, once I got everything sorted, just with some levels. It was on day 114 where I got sharpness 5 on my axe, and then I went back to some more level grinding. I wanted to put protection 4 on my diamond leggings, because I had protection 4 on everything else so far. That took me all the way until day 122. After I got all my enchantments set up, it was time for me to head back to the overworld, mainly because I was running out of food, as I killed a bunch of chickens just to do that. The night came on day 123, I slept, and by day 124 I was looking for some gravel to grind some when I remembered I have infinity on my bow. I don't need gravel. I should pop back into the nether instead. Firstly though, on day 125 I went to the village and picked up some beds. I want to do some bed bombing because I learned how easy it is to do that. You'll see that in the trio 100 days when that comes out. It was day 126 where I began the long haul to get netherite. The beds helped out a little bit, but not as much as I was hoping. And then became the grind of me trying to get full netherite armor, as well a netherite axe. I needed 20 pieces of netherite, and well, this wasn't going to be done in a couple of days. I knew this one was going to take a very, very, very long time. Luckily, because I killed the hunters, I had that amount of time, so I didn't have to worry about them ever sneaking up on me, but it's always good to know that I have that sort of safety blanket. I mean, they can charge me, but I can't imagine they'd be able to beat me at this point. That being said, the long haul of grinding the netherite finished on day 131, where I got the final little piece that I needed. Really grateful that I had backup diamond pickaxes, because that would have been a massive pain to deal with, my god. By the time I got back on day 133, I already had the gold ready from earlier caving trips, and so I was able to pretty much straight away make the netherite armor. There's nothing more satisfying than getting the achievement covered in debris. I mean, it's just so nice. The best part about it as well is that Chris and Austin were actually AFK at this point, so they never saw me get the achievement. They're gonna have a nice surprise when they see me for the first time. On day 134, I decided that it was time to breed the Pack Nation. I call them the Pack Nation. Yes, I'm still making the joke. No, I have no regrets. Other than that, it was a slow day. I really didn't do much after breeding them to the max. I went to an Extreme Hills on day 135. The idea was that I wanted some emeralds, and the trading that I did was unfortunately not reset, so this was probably the best way to do it. At least that's what I thought. After a good 15 minutes, I realized this was not the best way to go about it. I really should just stick to trading with villagers. And so at this point, I was focusing on getting coal and iron for said trades. Day 137 and 138 was more of the same. Lots of caving. Though I did walk away with 20 emeralds, I feel like I could have got a lot more from trading the coal and iron I could have potentially got. That being said, I don't think I'm ever going to need another piece of coal or iron at this point. I mean, look at it, oh my. I headed back to the base just to smelt the iron that I had and stack myself up with coal as well. I then set off to the village where I found my imprisoned, safely secured villager with my mending book. Yeah, good save. I got to the village on day 140 when I realized I didn't have any books. Bugger. I thought it'd be quicker for me to just find some cows and sugarcane, because there was some sugarcane right on the edge of the village, so let's just go ahead and quickly find some cows and run back. It only took until the morning of 141 for me to actually get the last bit of leather I needed, and so I could go back and start trading. I think it was quicker than heading back to base, but it's really hard for me to tell. Once I got that last bit of leather, I started trading with the villagers straight away. That pretty much carried on until day 142, where I was still trading. Fun stuff. In fact, that's pretty much what I did for the next 4 days. A lot of it was waiting around because obviously the villager would get maxed out, but by the end of it all, I managed to get the mending books that I needed, all 4 of them. It took me all the way until day 147, but I got there where I needed to, and then headed straight back to base. Even with all the levels that I had, I didn't actually have enough levels to put the mending on all of my armor. It required me to use 17 levels on my chest plate, leggings, and boots. My helmet required over 30 levels. My assumption is because it had aqua affinity on it, and so I was only able to put the mending mending on 2 pieces of armor so far. I was planning on going to the Nether somewhat soon though, so I knew it wasn't going to be too long before these mending books were on my armor. Day 149 I started brewing some potions, making the speed, strength, and health really wasn't an issue. The poison, however, I was out of spider eyes, though I did know a place I could get some. I finished off the brewing in 151, got the poison potions that I needed, and then I popped straight into the Nether. I wanted to give my armor the max durability now that it all had mending on. And I also knew it was starting to come to that point where the hunters were probably going to start hunting me down. We'll have to see when they do come for me. I then spent the next few days in the Nether basically maxing out my gear. It was pretty much just me mining quartz, getting levels to max up my gear itself. And by the time I was done, I was happy to say that all of my gear and armor was fully durable. It did cost me a diamond pickaxe, however, I had a backup at this point, so I really wasn't too worried about that. I also went hunting for some extra blaze rods because I was starting to run out with all the potions that I brew and I didn't want to do it later. That only was a 2-day detour. I mean, it wasn't really that bad. It was the night of 157 where I came out and basically did some more storage sorting. I pretty much had everything I wanted to have, so I was ready for me to just start, you know, setting up a little base. My plan was to find a nice little mountain to set up on and wait for them to come to me, but before I could even do that, the hunters were on me. Seeing them for the first time, they both had full diamond armor, so I was fairly confident that my gear was better than theirs despite the 40-day period they had to set up. They also brought potions to the party this time, and they decided to target the Pack Nation. I call them the Pack Nation, since they were going to be the biggest nuisance to their victory. I, of course, made my usual target Chris to be the first. Charging him definitely was the play here. Though admittedly with poison potions, I'm either a direct hit or a complete miss. Here's the first one, which is a complete miss. However, here's the second time, and here's the complete hit. And the moment I got him poisoned, he started running for the hills, and I'm so sure he was super low, but I just couldn't finish him off at this point. They were playing this really smart. One of them would distract me, the other would take out the nation. Austin even managed to get a really good poison potion on me, wasting one of the milk buckets I had prepared. Also, you'll have to excuse the chat of the blur. They decided to name their equipment very inappropriate things that I can't include in the video. Sorry about that. As the sun was setting, they managed to wipe out the entirety of the Pack Nation. Alright, one more time, I promise. I call them the Pack Nation. Rest in peace. And now it was just 2-on-1. And when they both charged me together, I was really worried that this was going to be the end. Luckily though, I did have that enchanted golden apple. Once I ate that, Chris yet again became my target. However, still, it wasn't enough for me to take him down. I was going to need an absolute miracle to survive this fight. And a miracle I arguably got. It would only take a minute for me to isolate one of the hunters and take them down. And whilst Chris was in the overworld hunting for diamonds and stuff, Austin was in the Nether, just like me, grinding levels. Because he hasn't slept for 3 full days, phantoms spawned on Austin, distracting him for just long enough. Since he was distracted by the phantoms, I was able to charge Chris one more time, and this time I was able to take him down. Now that it was 1v1, I was so much more confident that I'd actually be able to win this fight. But I'm not going to disrespect Austin in any way. He absolutely destroyed me here. Every single time we came into fighting, he was doing so much more damage to me than I was to him. I was lucky though. I was able to take out his water, and I knew that if I kept the pressure on him, kept shooting with my flame bow, eventually he would go down. And shortly after that fight, surely after one last charge, Austin goes down. And oh boy, was it a fight. I took them down both with full diamond. Imagine if they came here at full netherite. It's lucky moments like that that really get me to the end. If it wasn't for those moments, I would have died and that would have been the end of the video. So, well, we've only got one more fight to go. By the time we was done on the night of day 158, we all knew that one more fight was going to be the difference between victory and failure. And so, it is time for the classic final grinding montage. Me showing you what I did over the next 39 days to prepare for the final fight, which was going to be even more intense than the last. Let's begin, shall we? Let's start with popping back into the Nether. I found the blue biome, which I really should learn the name of, and I got a bunch of ender pearls and headed back to my base. I picked up some blade rods along the way because it was time for me to pop into the end. And once I popped into the end, I purposely didn't attack the ender dragon because it was time for me to finally put my plan into place. Say that 3 times fast. I brought some glass bottles, and I got myself 8 dragon breaths. I'm sure some people already know where I'm going with this. And once I had those secure, I instantly took down the ender dragon. At this point, he wasn't really much of a threat to me. The mass levels that I got from the ender dragon as well fixed the armor that was damaged from the last fire, and I was so grateful to actually have those levels. And I took a trip back to the spider spawner for one last time, this time to pick up some spider eyes. And thanks to the magic of editing, here's me slowly brewing some poison potions. extended poison 1, turning them into lingering potions, and then those lingering potions, I got 8 poison tipped arrows. Now originally, I thought I would have only needed the 1 because I had infinity, but here's an interesting fact for you. You can't use a tipped arrow with infinity. It will just shoot the arrow automatically. And so I made a stack of poison arrows with a mixture of flame and poison. Sure, the poison's only 12 seconds on the arrows. That's going to do a lot of damage to the hunters. I spent a short while searching for some wolves, but I couldn't find any, sometimes. And then finally, I went on a huge caving trip. I got the equivalent of 512 gold by the end of this all, being able to make exactly a stack of golden apples. Didn't need a stack, but it's a bit of a humble brag, I'd say. So, you know, when was the last time you had a stack of golden apples? Yeah, I thought so. The only other thing left to do was for me to actually cut down half this forest, just to get the apples themselves. Don't tell the Lorax. And by day 190, I was about as ready as I could possibly be. And so I started making my way to the end. I actually went through a couple of times because I was transferring stuff to this hidden chest at the top of this pillar. And once everything was there, I was ready to go. And so I waited. And waited. And waited. And then, on day 196, here we go. Chris was the first person to pop in. He decided to scout the area ahead without Austin. Austin obviously joined him shortly afterwards. The advantage that I did have is that they didn't know where I was. And so I tried to do a surprise attack, but unfortunately it didn't work. Now I could have stayed up there, and if I had just the infinity, I would have stayed up there. But because I had the poison arrows and there was a limitation to them, I decided it's best for me to go down to their level and attack them directly. Looking at it, it looks like Austin was able to get full Neverite armor, whilst Chris was only able to get half. And so you know I'm going to charge Chris first things first. I was able to quickly cover Austin's water, so if he ever has Enderman on him, then he's going to struggle with that one. Though it did cost me a milk bucket to do so, I think it was definitely worth it in the long run, getting rid of Austin's water. And shortly after, thanks to some Enderman interference, I was also able to cover Chris's water too. Good stuff. Austin wasted a couple of poison potions, however shortly after he did a huge amount of damage with a harming potion. Luckily for me though, I spent the time grinding some Enderman to get some Ender Pearls, so I was able to make some quick getaways when necessary. And this is where things started to get really, really intense. Every time I would take them 1v1, I was thinking that this could be the final fight. This was going to be my final stand. Though every single time one of the two of us backed up. The Endermans were a massive nuisance. However, the person who was having the biggest problem with them was Chris. Because he didn't have the water, he wasn't confident in actually dealing with them, and of course I was going to abuse that. Once I got a moment away from Austin and just had Chris by himself, with some well-placed shots, Chris did not survive as long as you'd think. And yet again, it was 1v1, me versus Austin. And yet again, Austin was not going down without a fight. And so we fought. Poison potions were thrown, axe was swung, arrows were shot, apples were eaten. This went on for days. Literal Minecraft days. The Endermen weren't happy that we were disrupting their home and they tried to split us up, but that was, well, that was their mistake. And then it just kept going on and on. Honestly, Austin was probably winning as well. He was doing more damage to me than I was to him every single time we came into combat. I'd say for every 4 fights, 3 of them I had to back out, because if not, I was going to lose. I'm not going to pretend that I was going to beat him. He was doing much better. I can accept that. And then, tragedy struck. My first piece of Neverite armor broke. We've been fighting for so long that the Neverite armor was starting to crash and burn. First, it was my helmet. Then it was my boots. And by the end of this all of it was gone, and it was scary. Good news is that I prepared for this. Because of the armor they had dropped over the previous fight, I was able to use them as backups. However, the diamond armor completes the Neverite armor. I do feel like I was taking more damage at this time. And if it kept going the way it was, Austin was going to win this fight. However, this fight wasn't going to be won on skill. This fight wasn't going to be won on who made the best plays. This fight wasn't going to be who had the best gear. This fight was going to be who outlasted the other. And whilst I was stripped down to just diamond armor, Austin, well, he didn't have any backups. And when his helmet finally broke, I knew his boots were quite close to breaking themselves. And suddenly my shots were doing a lot more damage. Austin was having to do backup a lot more. Suddenly I felt like I was in the advantage. Austin was still doing much better in the fights, but he couldn't take as much hits. And after hours of fighting, after this whole shabockle, after every shot, every axe hit, one final shot set him on fire, and in a panic he tried to take out an Enderman, and before I could even lay a finger on him, Austin goes down on day 198. 9. I jumped back into the overworld. I slept one last time, and here we are on day 200 as I survived 200 days in Minecraft whilst 2 of my friends hunted me, and that is how it happened. Thanks for watching.